Hi everybody, welcome back to the Haunted House Boxford. My name is Charles. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we are going to do a few things. We're going to catch you up on what I did yesterday while I was over here. Did some work, so we'll catch you up on where we are with what we finished yesterday. Then we'll go over a little bit over what we're going to do today, but also we're going to go over the entire checklist as of right now in my head of everything that needs to get done between now and opening time in the middle of October. So I guess we'll do that. All right, so to start with, you can see we are in Skeleton Central here. We've moved all of our skeletons and what's left of the table. It's over here and everything. I took the table apart. I did buy this new mirror skeleton thing. Now, a lot of people like using the DIY version. You take one of these, pre-made skeletons, you cut them off at the waist, and then you glue them onto an existing mirror with a big frame, and you make them look like they're coming out of the mirror, and that's pretty cool. But I haven't gotten around to doing that. But then I happened to be in our local Marshall's store and just came across this thing. Now, it wasn't cheap. It was like 60 bucks. But it's really just meant to be like a tea light holder. So something like that. These are just little cheapy tea lights that I have in here. But that's basically what it's meant to be. So I thought that was pretty neat. So I bought it. Anyway, yeah, this room for the ending is going to actually be the skeleton room. I haven't figured out how to place everything yet, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. So that's what we did. We moved everything into here. And then over here in this first room, we went ahead and rearranged it a little bit. Now, the organ that used to be in here, and then I moved out there, is now back in here, but it's over here against this wall. So that's a good spot there. I'll talk more about that in a second. The other thing that we did is we moved this desk that I found on Facebook Marketplace. I bought this, or I got this on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was giving it away for free. It's not an antique or anything like that. It's a, press board and veneer stickered modern take on a roll top desk. But it looks the part, and that's fine. Now, the only downfall is somewhere on my trip home, I lost the drawer out of the middle. Totally on me. It's not like it came like that. It bounced off the trailer somewhere, I'm sure. But I didn't feel like going back and finding it, so it is how it is. Plus, it'll just add to the spookiness. Now, on a side note, the one downfall with having the roof fixed is it means like all the ceiling stuff is not falling down and getting everything all dusty, so it's harder to get stuff to look the part. The organ, for example, has been in here with all the miserable weather, and it's really looking old and dusty and dirty, and that's awesome. This desk is way too shiny. I might have to like scoop some up and dump it on it. I don't know. But anyway, the desk is over here, and we got this really neat old clock too. It's hard to see in the glare with the light in the background. But it's a pretty neat old clock. It's actually an old actual wind-up clock. It's not like a battery-powered modern. It's an older clock, so that was pretty cool. I haven't wound it up to see if it works yet, but anyway, this is the desk. This is where my dad is going to play the part of, new owner guy or something. So when people come in here, he's going to have a chair in here. I haven't found one yet, but he'll have a chair in here, and he'll be able to sit down and turn around and yell at all the guests, Guests, Anywho, the advantage of having the table over here, that's not a table, it's an organ. The advantage to having the organ over here does two things. It covers up a good chunk of the wall, which means that I don't have a wide open space. Last year I had the Harvester of Souls in the corner. This year it's just the desk organ. It's just the organ for now. But the advantage to that is we are going to have a helper here in the... Anybody else see this glare? What is that from? It looks green. Oh, okay. I was going to say there's nothing green in this room, but there is a green tub liner back there, and as you can see right there. Okay, so I was getting confused. I thought Casper was here. So anyway, the organ can serve as a prop for the assistant that'll be in here. So, for example, the assistant could be playing just, random organ music as a soothing backdrop to the doctor working at his desk. So that's a thing. So we did that. What else did we do? If we come over into this room, the meat locker, that's what I'm going to call it from now on. It's just because, stuff's hanging up. This is the meat locker. This is going to be it. We did go ahead and get the table done. Oh, uh-oh. Did not think this through. So let me back up out of the glare. So I went and I ripped down a piece of 3/4 inch tongue and groove MDF that I had spare laying around. and then I screwed it to the table. It is plenty solid. As you can see, I can basically jump on this and it won't go anywhere. And then I took the sheet metal that I had, and I used some construction adhesive, and I glued it down. Now there's two pieces because they only sell these in a 2x3 section from Lowe's, so I bought them 2x3, and I have a seam under this board. There we go. I was afraid after I realized that the board had basically glued itself to the seam. I didn't know if it was going to come up, but as you can see, we have this seam here in the middle. Now this one's not awful. I might put some tape over it, like a piece of I don't know what I'll put over. Maybe I've got some metal ductwork tape at home. Maybe I'll just put a strip across it just to cover the seam up so nobody scrapes themselves on it. There will be an actor potentially on this table, so it needed to be strong enough to hold at least me, and it does, but it also needs to be safe. So what we are going to do is I have a bunch of this corner molding that I bought, and this is going to go, if you can see this, if I can do this one-handed, like this. So we're going to trim out this table with this corner molding. If we come back around, let's come into this room. This is the dark room over here. So there's not going to be a lot we can see in here. I don't have a lot of light in here, but I'm going to turn you around. Spiders. So I'm going to turn you around real quick before we go in here, and I'll show you what we did. Only so I can turn the flashlight on my phone because I'm just too lazy to go get my big light. So yeah, enjoy the spooky atmosphere here in a second. All right, the flash doesn't do a lot, but it does a little. So as you can see, it does light things up. But also, as you can see, I got some drywall in here. So I've got a couple pieces up. We've got this piece here, a filler piece here, and I'll get more to that gap here in a second, and then this piece over here. So this is the leftover from this side. I probably should have measured this out better. I didn't, but in the interest of saving materials, because I really didn't want to have to rip off 14 inches from a brand new piece. So this piece over here ended up being about 38 inches wide. So I just scored this down the top, cut it off, and I mean, I still need to get everything screwed in tighter. This was just done yesterday. But instead, I just moved this over here. Now there's a, an inch gap at the bottom to almost no gap at the top, but this doesn't need to be perfect. We're not taping this, we're not mudding it or anything. So what we're going to do is, well, we are going to tape it, but we're going to use duct tape. We're just going to tape up the hole to make it dark. Come into the inside, you can see how we have the inside out here. Again, this is nothing structural, it's just to have a room. This is the base to Jack Skellington's 13-foot jack, so that's just kind of here storage. I didn't get everything back in the box 100%, so it's just kind of here. Now the other thing we have to figure out is how to make our drop panel in here. Now my goal is to have a drop panel right here. 16 by 24-ish, so, nothing huge, just a small panel. And I think what we're going to end up doing is I think we're going to take a small piece of like 1/4 inch. We'll just get a couple 1/4 inch strips, one down each side. That'll act as our spacer, and then we can take these 2x3s and put them on there overhanging, and that'll give us our track to slide the panel down. And paneling wise, I think I'm just going to go grab some like 1/8 inch like Luan material type stuff from Lowe's, and that will take care of the drop panel part. We'll figure out the whole latch thing at some point, but for now at least that'll go there. Plenty of room in here, which is good. So even with the curtain up, there is plenty of room in here. There's, it's 3 feet wide, it's 3 feet to the inside, so you've got a 3-foot opening. This is all going to be enclosed in though, so we do need to put a light in here somewhere, so that way somebody can at least see what they're doing when this is completely dark, because this will be completely dark. But speaking of completely dark, let's get out of here and we'll talk again here in a second. Everything we've done so far as of yesterday, you are now caught up. So let's, there it is. Says, let's find my drink, and I'll tell you about all the checklist items before we get into working for the day. So just off the top of my head, I'm just going to rattle off things that need to happen at some point. First, I need to figure out the layout as far as where all the props are going to go. This is the biggest challenge I've got right now. We have all the new props. For example, we've got the new Reaper. We've got the guys in there. Now, Jack Skellington, he's an easy one. He's 13 freaking feet tall, and I don't have anybody else to put him but on the front porch. So that's where he's going to go. He's just going to go on the front porch, call it done. He's good. But a lot of my themed props are more like this stuff, right? The ghouls and the zombies and the goblins and the ghosts and the Reapers and the skeletons and stuff. it's not 100% accurate with the rest of the house. Like when it comes to the rest of the theme and the backstory and, you know, corpse reanimation and stuff, some point it works, some points it doesn't. You know, so having Spike in here, that works because he could be a, you know, basically a half a body that he was experimented on and stuff like that. But like other stuff, we just have to figure out where to put them. Now, in the front yard, that is going to be our graveyard type scene. And I know that's a little off the side of the house as well. But, I mean, the story was that originally he was stealing stuff from a graveyard. So what better place to put a graveyard than right there? And maybe because he's disturbed so many souls and restless spirits and stuff, maybe that's why those things are out there. So we're going to go kind of along the same lines we had. Last year he was outside, and he works really great with trick-or-treaters passing by with the sayings that they have. It's a very interactive thing when it comes to the sayings that he says. The phrases are geared more towards, like, you know, if a trick-or-treater was in front of him. You know, there's a spot where it says, look out, there's one behind you, or something like that. So it doesn't really work the same unless you're outside. So he'll go back outside the same place. It's hard to see in here either. But the Cauldron Creeper, he's over there. Same thing. He worked great outside last year. The other Reaper, I'm not 100% sure on. Mr. Dark, he was a good scare thing for last year. I have to find a better place to put him, someplace different, but he'll probably go outside somewhere. Now the Witch, she can actually stay in this main room over here because this room is going to be kind of like a witchy den, I'm hoping. It's just a matter of how big is the witch's den at that point, and what other stuff can I do it. I've mentioned this before. I have some coworkers, current coworkers. We're all leaving work here in a month, but I have some current coworkers, and they love the spirit. They love the Halloween thing. I'm hoping that they're available and can come over and you know, be witchy in here, right? But I can at least bring that one over here too. I've got a little cauldron I bought. So this will be the witch's den once I get things cleaned around and cleared out and stuff. A lot of this stuff is going to just go down to the basement for now. Now that it's all dry, I can do that. So a lot of these extra doors can go down there, windows. The stove can't go down. That thing's too freaking heavy to do it. But yeah, I don't know if I can do something with that. Maybe I'll put that in the corner and have like, I mean, I do have this. So I did put this in here the other day just for fun. So that's a thing. Maybe I'll put it back over here in the corner where it was and put stuff on it, I guess. I don't know. But there's a good chance that a lot of this room was going to be curtained off. So I have these big 10-foot, or they were bigger than that. They're 90 by 132 inches or something like that. They're huge. These big black, basically curtains. So that will effectively cut off half of this entire room if I wanted to. And I may do that depending on what props I have and what I can put in this room. But on the whole, we need to figure out where things are going to go. I have this whole hallway that last year I had things in. I don't know if I'm going to do the same thing. And again, a lot of it comes down to how I feel about the theme, because the idea is that people are walking into this old house and they're going to see this guy. Like, this is like you're walking into a human house and then you hit the undead stuff in the back. But seems kind of weird to not have anything up here. So we have to figure out what we're going to put where. So all in all, that's a big thing, is figuring out where things have to go. Another thing we have to do is figure out all of our lighting. Now I have a plan for this. That is, I have the generator downstairs. And I found, while I was going through a lot of stuff, I found an old electrical panel. Now, I'm thinking maybe I'll use that as a distribution box coming off of a feed from the generator. So the generator can feed into the box, and then from the box I can run a wire up. It just saves running like a million extension cords. Now the stuff on this side of the house, last year I ran these off of small LED lights off of an extension cord and a surge protector. This year I may just run an outlet up in here into the corner. This old bathroom is not being used for any part of this haunt. And so I think maybe I'll just run a feed up in there, put an outlet in there, and then I can, again, run an extension cord into there, run up. So, for example, I have these little floodlights in the corner there. You can see one right there. They worked really well. There's one on this side, one on the other side. They work really well when it comes to actually lighting up these individual rooms. The other ones, though, I kind of want to see if I can get an overhead light going. So, in addition to the electric, we have to figure out the lights. And that's going to come down to what colors go where, that sort of thing. So, In this room here, the room with the desk, I have, again, in this corner, a little LED floodlight there. In the skeleton cemetery over here, the skeleton central, whatever we're going to call it, I have another one up there on the wall right there. I bought them on Amazon last year. I don't remember how much they were. They were fairly inexpensive. They're very basic, very generic. So it just says, 15 watt IP66 on them. If you search for LED floodlight, you're going to find a bazillion of the same sort of things. So they worked very well. They covered the entire room very well. This room was green last year. That room was red. And they worked out really well. When it's dark outside, the light does make it a lot better. Like, for example, if I turned them on now, you'd barely be able to tell. But in the grand scheme of things, they worked well. But in these other rooms, we're going to have regular fixtures. The idea being, hopefully, the regular fixtures in here, I did buy some LED RGB bulbs. They're remote controlled, not app controlled, remote controlled. For the most part, these are like 60 watt equivalent LED RGB bulbs that we can change into whatever color we want. Now, I don't know what color is going to go in here yet. Something. Now, the boogeyman room back here in the corner, this one is going to be completely dark. There'll be a curtain hanging here. I have to scrape the rest of this door frame off, get all the rest of the loose flakes off, and vacuum everything up. But there'll be a curtain on this door, so it'll basically be dark. Obviously, it'll be dark anyway, but you'll come into here, it'll be completely black, and then as soon as you take one step in, bam, the strobe light goes off. He turns on. Nothing crazy, just kind of a, strobe light and whatever. But then you're going to walk through, and you're going to come through this door here, which again is, oops, got props behind it. That's the one that runs over into the other room, which is going to be all the clowns, the carnival section. So, yeah, so that room doesn't need lights, but the clown lights, this room lights, and the witch's den lights are all going to be overhead fixtures for power. Hopefully the RGB bulbs I bought are going to be well enough for it and bright enough, but I guess we'll find out. Beyond that, though, yeah, not sure what we're doing with there. So that's electric and lights. The next one is sound. I like having a good sound in my haunt. Now I have a bunch of speakers, and I thought I ordered more. I did order more speakers. So I've got a bunch of little speakers, and they all take SD cards or micro SD cards and USB ports in some of them and whatever. I have to figure out what I'm going to do for sound. I like having an ambient sound specific to each location. So in this room, we may have organ music playing out of the organ with a speaker just to make it sound that way. There's really not a lot of sound that needs to come into here yet, but I do like having some sort of ambience. Back in here, I don't know what I'm going to do in here. Maybe, some sort of creepy soundtrack with an overlaid background of, people getting sawed up or something. Boogeyman room doesn't really need sound, but then when you get around to the carnival, this one definitely does need some spooky carnival music in it because it's Clown City, right? Gotta have clown music. And then again, out here in the Witch's Den is just going to be more of a spooky ambient music and so forth. And then skeletons, I don't know. Do I play spooky, scary skeletons on repeat the whole freaking time? I don't know yet. So we'll figure that out. And then I also have like an outdoor theme going there. So I have to figure out all the themes for the sounds. So that's a thing. The next thing we need to do is with the outside. I have my big party speaker there that plays thunder off an SD card. But the idea to have a SD card full of loud thunderclap sounds, thunder crashes that will play randomly. So not like every 10 seconds or whatever, but every few minutes or something, a big, loud, out of nowhere thunder crash I have the Perfect Storm, and I think I've mentioned that before, but I have the Perfect Storm box, and I need to get lights for that. So I bought some LED lights that we're going to test and we're going to play with, but I need to figure out where to put them. I'm thinking up in the trees or maybe up here in the corner of the porches or something. I don't know yet. That speaker and the Perfect Storm box are going to be in the corner on the porch, but I need to get power to that. Now last year what I did is I had the generator out in the back corner and I ran 2 extension cords. I ran one into the center of the house that came up into this bathroom and then branched out from here. There was only a couple of things that I actually had to plug in. The 2 lights and the Harvester of Souls with a 400 watt fog machine. Nothing else was plugged in up here. So that was the only extension cord in here. And then the other extension cord off the generator went outside, out through the basement window and out into another power strip, which then fed The props up front. So we had Jack Stalker or Prowling Jack. I don't remember which one I bought. Whatever the one is with the robe, not the pants. So he was plugged in. The Cauldron Creeper was plugged in the front. Mr. Dark was plugged in. And the 1200 watt fog machine running the Graveyard Fogger was also plugged in. Now, the props themselves don't take hardly any power when they're plugged in. And the biggest draw on everything was just the fog machines. But, you know, same sort of thing. We're still going to need a... I think it's really dark in here when the sun goes away. We're going to need another feed out to that corner so we can then branch off and go into, again, mostly the same props and the same sort of setup. So that's kind of that. But then we also need to have, you know, certain things around here. Now, the other trick to it is that these back rooms we are now using for a haunt. Last year, I had like a projector in here, and I could run wires back in here and hide things. I can't do that this year because people are going to be walking on them. So that's going to be a bit of a trick when it comes to that. So yeah, so the layout is a big thing, figuring out where all things are going to be. And then the other thing we have to go through is go through and actually decorate stuff. So it may seem like everything's mostly decorated, but this is nowhere near what it needs to be. Yeah, it's spooky and stuff like that. And yeah, but there needs to be more decoration. So like in here, for example, I have more stuff to hang on the walls. Like, you know, this old saw. And neat part about these guys that hang is they hang off of those. But I went and found some real hooks that I'd like to figure out how to get up in there to hang things on them. Now, this hook over here is way too long. If you see, he'd be hanging way down here. I can't very well get this over this end and locked into place because of how narrow this is compared to the size of the board, but we'll figure that out. Anyway, for the most part, that's the plan in my head, right, is to try to figure out where things need to go. We can start moving props into the areas that they need to be in, with the exception of the outdoor props. Those guys, though, I have a thought. My original thought is to take the outdoor props, the props that are going outside, bring them up into this room. Because if we put them in this room, they're only right by the front door. Makes it a lot easier to get out of this door and into the front yard. There's usually not much going on in here anyway. Last year I had the Reaper just kind of in the door, and then I had a blackout curtain behind it so nobody was looking into the room. So the room would work good for storage that way. But here's the kicker. Can't get this door off. This door doesn't move but a foot. Still working on that. Anywho, today's plans are, again, finish off the table trim with the saw and work on some drywall and start running some electrical lines. I'll show you what we got done so far. We did get the table trimmed out, so we've got our trim on the table. I'm tempted to, I got to put some more brads through the top just to hold it down, but the whole purpose is just so people don't get caught on the edges. Not so much the guests, but the actors. One other thing we started doing was running our electric. So you can see down here, wires coming up, over, up. I mean, it's just kind of tacked in place. I haven't gone through and really secured it yet, but right now it's just kind of tacked in place. Over behind me, up there, we have a light fixture box. Anyway, I've got the fixture down here on the table. From there, it's going to come over to here where there's an outlet box. From there, it's going to come right above my head. Another ceiling fixture. From there, it's going to go through this little gap in the wall. Going to go through a hole in the wall right where that screwdriver is, and then up over into here, and we're going to put a fixture here. Now, this other room here, the circus room, this is the room I hadn't quite figured out how I wanted to light yet. I was trying to figure out a way to branch off of the other fixtures over here, but then it dawned on me, I have a hole into the basement right here. So since everything's coming out of a panel in the basement, I'm just going to drop a line straight down and just run it to a breaker down there. It's not really going to be the end of the world having literally one LED on one little breaker, but anyway, it'll be there. Plus, the other positive to doing that is I can also run branch off of the light fixture in here for my flash cracker. It doesn't take a lot of juice to run, but it would be nice to have it on a dedicated plug somewhere. So that could work there. And then the other ones we're going to take, and I mean, where the box is basically where I'm standing right now. It's literally right here against this wall, underneath this wall. So I'm just going to run another line over here and up into this old bathroom, Again, bathroom's not part of the haunt. It's going to be closed off, everything anyway. But I'm going to run a line up and put an outlet there, and then that way we can run the 2 rooms here off of their LED spotlights there. So that'll take care of that. So electric-wise, we're getting good. I think the last thing we'll do, wire depending, is run another branch off of that breaker panel all the way out to the front of the house there. Either outside or just inside the house down in the basement where I can run an extension cord from there out. And the reason is because the fog machine on the front props, everything on the lawn, it'd be nice to just have everything plugged in. I do want to put another projector in the front window. Again, that would also be kind of a nice place to have power there. It would be really nice to not have to rely quite so much on battery packs and things like that. We made do last year. I'm trying to make it easier on myself this year than trying to figure it all out last minute. So we did that. What else? That thinks that's most of it. Oh, and I cut my hand. So that was fun. So I, in full disclosure, and I won't get too graphic, but I have a chop saw. It's that guy down there, right? So you can see I've got a DeWalt blade on. I don't know what it is. It's I think I bought I bought a coarser blade for cutting 2x4s and stuff. I think when I was making my desk for my house or something. So long story short is I was cutting the angles for the trim on the table, and I cut one a little bit too long, so I went to go trim it back. Unfortunately, the way that the saw is really designed as a right-handed saw, and me being careless is all it comes down to. So I let go of the trigger and lift it up, right? I let go. It's an older saw. It doesn't instantly stop when I let go of the trigger. I'll put that out. Anyway, I let go of the trigger, and as I went to, I was, in 2 motions. I was lifting up on the saw with my right hand as I let go of the trigger, and on my left hand, I was trying to move the trim piece over, slide it on the thing. And when I did, I raised my hand and bumped it right against the back of that saw as the blade was turning. So, for a moment, it did seem like the bleeding was not stopping. So I was kind of worried that maybe I had nicked something I shouldn't have and that a hospital visit was going to be in order. Luckily, no. After the first washcloth had soaked through and I put the second one on it, then the bleeding actually stopped. I pulled out the emergency kit from my car, and we're all bandaged up. I do want to say a big thank you, though, to my neighbors. My neighbor Alan and his kids were over here. They've been helping out as much as time will allow. So they were helping out with some of the stuff. So they were actually here at the time. Now, I don't have any washcloths or towels or anything here in the house with me, which I need to rectify now. After today, I think I'm going to start carrying some. So it would have been an interesting thing had they not been here and able to just run back to their house and grab a couple washcloths for me. So, and then afterwards they let me come wash my hands off and tape myself up. So I'm very, very fortunate, very lucky that it wasn't worse than it was. But it just goes to show you, man. It's like, you can't take the shortcuts when there's spinning blades of death involved. It just doesn't ever work out well. So. That was kind of the excitement for the day. Kind of, killed 20 minutes that way. And otherwise, though, things are slowly getting there. We're getting there. Like I said, the electric is probably only a day away from being ready as far as that goes. And that's really because I just started it late today. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one. I said we started to get some of the stuff done. We've got a lot more to go, obviously, but we're slowly getting there, working our way through bits and pieces of the checklist. We'll eventually get there. So thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for laughing at my misfortune. And I guess we'll see you next time.